Hello, I'm Bianca, avid romance fan, Jane Austen meme maker, and historical costumer. And today I'm going to show you a fun historical costuming project. It's going to be making a reticule like this, inspired by the fashionable purses of the Regency era. I hope that this fun mini project sparks your interest in further historical costuming. Let's get our supplies in order. Here's what you're going to need: a piece of paper, a pen, sewing supplies, fabric scissors or a rotary cutter, paper scissors, a piece of ribbon, tailor's chalk or heat erase fabric pens, at least a third yard of fabric, and a can or a glass. If you're looking for a stash buster project, this is perfect. I used some extra fabric that I had in my stash for this project. It's a little polka dot pattern, and I use it mainly because it was easier to see, but you can feel free to use any fabrics that you have on hand, and let's get started.
We are going to start by cutting out the only pattern piece we will need for this project. You're going to use the bottom of that soda can or glass to draw a circle on your paper. It's an easy cheat to get a perfect circle. And this pattern piece will be used to make the center of the reticule we are making today. These medallions will cover up the little hole at the bottom of the bag. You'll see what I mean in a bit. Next, we will be cutting our fabric pieces. Make sure you pre-wash and iron your fabric. Yes, I know this is a chore, but it will make things easier later, trust me. After you get your fabric ready, you will first cut out your little circles that will be the center of your reticule. You will cut 2 of these. Pin them onto the fabric with some space around them for seam allowances. I would say add anywhere from a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch seam allowance for these pieces. You can mark the allowance if you want to be exact, but I just eyeballed it here. You can use tailor's chalk or a heat erase fabric safe pen for marking anything you need. After I've cut that first piece with a seam allowance, I can use that piece as a reference for the second piece to make them identical. I use a rotary cutter, but you can use scissors to do this too. If you use a rotary cutter, remember to use it on the mat it comes with so you don't cut your sewing table. My rotary cutter is a little dull, so I use scissors to finish cutting my pieces here. After you get your circle center pieces cut out, pin them together and put them to the side while we work on the body of the bag. Depending on how much fabric you have and how big you want your reticule to be, this piece can vary in size a little. I made this bag big enough to hold my phone, keys, wallet, and a small book, but you can definitely make yours smaller if need be. The measurements on my reticule body piece are 13 inches by 36 inches across. You could probably get away with the height being anywhere from 13 inches to 10 inches, depending on how big you make your hammer channel. I use rulers and a rotary cutter to help me get my lines straight, but you can use your chalk or heat erase pen to draw the line all the way down if you are using scissors. If you don't have a piece of fabric that is 13 by 36 inches or even 10 by 30 inches, get creative. Maybe use 2 alternating fashion fabrics. Make a quilted look with multiple scraps. It's supposed to be a fun little project, so you should get creative with this. We are now to the sewing portion of this project. When you are using a sewing machine, you will want to lock your stitch so it doesn't come undone or fray. The way I do this is to sew forward, sew backward, and sew forward again. It is a simple 1, 2, 3 step I do at the start and end of my seams so it secures the thread. I mostly use my sewing machine for this, but you can definitely hand sew this project if you'd prefer. Now, I use my sewing machine to finish the edges of my centerpiece circles, but you can definitely hand sew these if you want them to be perfect. I didn't mind these looking a little more rustic since they won't really be seen much. You can use an iron to press the medallions if you want to get a tight look on that circle. I freehanded mine as I went. It's really up to you how perfectly round you want these to be. If you're using machine, you're going to get these threads. As you're going, you should cut these off so you don't have to worry about them later, or even accidentally sew over them on another seam. And now you've finished the edges of these circles, turning over a 1/4 or 1/2 inch seam. These will eventually sandwich the center gathers of your reticule to close up any hole so your stuff doesn't fall out of your bag. You wouldn't want something important like your keys or any illicit letters to your lover to fall out and get into the wrong hands, now would you? These will help keep your bag scandal-proof. It's time to sew the body of your bag now. We're essentially going to make a tube with this long piece we cut earlier. You will make 1 stitch all the way down to close the tube, making sure that the fashion fabric is lined up and the pattern side is facing itself. If you don't want a raw edge to be inside the bag, turn this seam over twice so it is tucked nicely away. You can measure and iron this part to be exact, or you can just simply fold it over twice like I did here. You can also cover the raw edge with ribbon or twill tape if you don't have enough fabric to do this. Now, we need to do a basic hem for that top raw edge. Using tailor's chalk or a heat erase pen, mark a 1/4 inch down from the top. And using those marks as a reference point, I will fold down the fabric all around the tube. You can pin down this line or iron it if you want for exactness. Now we are going to make the ribbon channel. Using your fabric safe marker or chalk, mark 1.5 to 2 inches down. Fold the top hem down to meet that mark. This will make a channel for your ribbon or tape to run through later. When you sew this folded over part down, remember you will not be sewing all the way around like you did for that top hem. Leave about 1 inch to 2 inches between the start of your stitch and the end of it. This will be the opening for your channel so you can get your ribbon in there. If you are stash busting and have extra fabric you want to use up, you can use what you have to make a little pocket inside your bag. All you need to do is finish the edges of the square or rectangle you want to use for the pocket and sew the sides down, leaving the top unsewn so you can get stuff into it later. We only have a couple of steps left. I hand gathered the bottom of the bag body using a basic stitch to go in and out of the fabric along the bottom edge of the tube at consistent intervals. Some machines have stitches that will let you easily gather them, but I prefer to do this by hand. As I'm going around, I will pull that thread to make the gathers. I want this to be as close as possible for the circles to cover up later. Try not to break your thread. Once it is as close as can be, knot the thread and cut it off. Now it's time to use your little circles. You're going to sandwich your gathers with these 2 fabric medallions, making sure the whole is completely covered by these circles. With the pattern side facing out, pin the circles in, making sure they are secure and lined up before you sew them down. And when you sew these down, make sure to use your locking stitch so it doesn't come undone later. You can hand sew this part for precision if you'd prefer. And the sewing steps are done. Now you just need to thread the ribbon through that channel we made earlier. Using a safety pin or a little tool like I have here, you're going to thread the ribbon through that channel using the hole you left earlier in the top of your bag. You're going to knot the ribbon ends together so they don't come undone. And now you're done with your reticule. Pop your important stuff in there and you are ready to go to the ball or run some errands.
We did it! Now, I showed you how to make a very simple reticule using my scrap fabric, but you should feel free to use this pattern as a guideline to make whatever you want. You can make cool little purses with lace or sheer overlays like I did for these 2. If you tried this DIY, let me know. You can find me on Twitter at Book Hoarding and Facebook at Book Hoarding. I'm also on Instagram at Bianca Hernandez, and I have my own YouTube channel right here. It's Book Hoarding by Bianca if you want to look for me. And if you follow me, you can watch all of my cool Regency 101 series that's all about budget historical costuming. Thanks!